Away, he got not such a good start tonight. Kelly just leads him from Kepagelli. Out wide, Cassiano and John. Now Gout starts to stretch away, and stretch away he does.
Gout Gout just wrapped up his final high school race, and what he said after crossing that finish line has everyone talking. But before we get to his big announcement, let me tell you about the incredible way he said goodbye to his school. Gout Gout competed in his last school meet at the GPS Track and Field Championships. This wasn't just any race for him. This was at the Queensland Sport and Athletics Centre, the exact same place where he first showed everyone just how fast he could run. After years of breaking records in his red and white Ipswich Grammar School uniform, this was his final hurrah. Now here's where it gets interesting. Gout decided to skip his best event, the 200-meter race. Instead, he chose to run the 400 meters and compete in a relay race. Why would someone skip their best event at their final school meet? Well, earlier that day, another runner named Seth Kennedy from Brisbane Grammar School had just broken Gout's own 200-meter school record with a time of 20.64 seconds.
Let the legs loose and let the kid run. He is absolutely gone. He is Gout of this world. 20.07. Wow. That is not.
So the 400-meter race became the big showdown. Everyone watching knew this was going to be special, and Gout didn't disappoint. He ran 46.14 seconds, setting a new personal best and a new meet record. Kennedy finished right behind him at 46.64 seconds. Both runners beat the old record, but Gout came out on top.
Gout's got 50 metres left to go. Kennedy's trying to close the gap. The gap's getting shorter and shorter, but Gout's going to take the victory. What's the clock say? 46.18.
After catching his breath, Gout wasn't done yet. He jumped into the 4x100-meter relay race and helped his team win. They ran 41.3 seconds, which set another Queensland record. When Gout grabbed the baton from his teammate Jonathan Cassiano, his school and Brisbane Boys College were running neck and neck. But within moments, Gout pulled ahead and secured the win. Standing there on the track after his races, Gout got emotional. He looked around at the place that meant so much to him and said, "This is the place where I found my speed. It definitely feels sad, but I'm definitely grateful." During his time at Ipswich Grammar, Gout set at least 5 different school records. He's been at that school since 7th grade, and he made sure everyone knew how much it meant to him. "I've been at this school since grade 7, and they've definitely helped me," he told reporters. "It's a great school. It's the school where I met my friends and teachers around me." But then came the moment everyone's been waiting for. After talking about his school and his coaches, Gout shared what's next for him. He said, "I just can't wait to go on that next journey. For me, it's the world stage. That's the next step for sure." There it is, the massive announcement. Gout Gout is officially moving on from school competitions and setting his sights on competing against the best runners in the entire world. And honestly, if you've been following his journey this year, you know he's ready for it. Let me tell you why everyone believes in him so much. This past year has been absolutely wild for Gout. He broke a record that stood for 56 years. Back in 1968, Peter Norman set the Australian 200-meter record at the Mexico Olympics. For more than half a century, nobody could beat his time. Then Gout came along. First, he ran 20.04 in Brisbane. Then he got even faster with 20.02 seconds.
Europe, this from Gout Gout. Now he's got a target. Menya moving away from him. Morizzi in the headband. A battle between these two. And Gout working so hard to get to him. And he gets there. Gout takes it by a metre and moving away.
And then, even though the wind was helping him a bit too much for it to count officially, he ran 19.84 seconds. That's faster than what Usain Bolt ran when Bolt was the same age. It's also faster than Justin Gatlin's junior time. Pretty incredible, right? Gout even talked about those windy races. He said, "I didn't really feel the wind too much. Obviously, it was plus 2.2 meters per second. I just used it to my advantage, I guess. I took off, got a nice flick, and just sent it down the home straight." He admitted it was frustrating that those super fast times don't count in the record books because of the wind, but he stayed positive about it, saying, "But I guess it's about getting those nice runs, and then, hopefully, one day, the wind will be great." Over the summer break, Gout traveled to Europe for his first international competitions as a senior athlete. He went with his manager and coach to race in the Czech Republic and Monaco. In the Czech Republic, at a meet called the Ostrava Golden Spike, he won his race and broke the Australian record again, lowering it to 20.02 seconds. After that race, he said, I felt calm but strong as I came off the turn and was confident I'd be strong enough to get the win. Another national record. Pretty happy with that. It's not a bad first up in Europe. Then came the really big stage. In September, Gout competed at the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. This was huge. He was running against Olympic champions like Noah Lyles and Letziel Tebogo. At just 17 years old, he became the youngest sprinter ever to compete in a World Championships 200-meter race. In his first heat, Gout finished third with a time of 20.23 seconds, which got him into the semifinals. In the semis, he came in fourth place with 20.36 seconds. The track was wet, and he didn't make it to the final, but he was proud of himself. He said, "Semifinalist and got to compete against the big guys. I couldn't be prouder of myself." What really stands out is how Gout thinks about his future. After racing in Tokyo, he shared something really smart. He said, "It definitely makes you hungry, knowing that I'm just a kid right now, but knowing that I can still compete with men as a kid. And the thing I have on them is, I've got time. They may not have 15 years, but I've got 15 years. That's a mature way to look at things. He understands he's young and still learning, but he also knows that's his biggest advantage. He has so much time to get even better. Think about how crazy his life is right now. 1 week he's racing at the World Championships in Tokyo against the fastest men on the planet. The next week he's back in Brisbane running at a school meet, and then he has to pull out his pencil case and take his final exams. He even mentioned how strange that feels, saying, "It definitely feels crazy thinking about the two sides of the same coin." Even Noah Lyles, the Olympic gold medal winner, has been asked about Gout. Lyles said some really important things about what it takes to succeed. Lyles said, "He's obviously so young, very talented, but there's so many people who have been talented in our sport that unfortunately haven't been able to hit that upper echelon." Lyles talked about what really matters for young athletes like Gout. It's more about what's the path he's going to take, who's the team that he's going to take with him, and how much work are you going to put into not just being athletic, but knowing that you've got to be a business person and you've got to be it young. He also pointed out the tough reality of being famous so young. That's the hardest part about being such a young talent. You have to grow up so much faster than everybody else. When people get to come to you and they're like, "Hey, we need this of you," unfortunately, you don't get to say, "I'm only a teenager." Because once you sign the contract, once you're on the track, you're no longer a teenager, you're now a businessman. Gout has shown he has the support team he needs. His coach, Di Shepherd, has been with him through everything, and his school gave him the foundation to grow. Now he's taking all those lessons and memories with him to the next level. So what's next for Gout Gout? Nobody knows exactly, but everyone's watching. Will he compete in more international meets? Will he aim for the Olympics? One thing's for sure. He's not afraid of the challenge, and he's ready to show the world what he can do. This 7-year-old kid has been breaking records everywhere, and everyone's been asking the same question: where will we see him race next? Well, we finally have our answer, and it's going to be huge. Gout Gout just told the world he's going to the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, and trust me, this is a big deal. But here's where it gets interesting. Everyone thought Gout would skip the Commonwealth Games. Why? Because the dates are tricky. The Commonwealth Games run from July 23rd to August 2nd in 2026, and right after that, from August 5th to 9th, there's the World Junior Championships in the United States. That's the big one for young athletes. That's where Usain Bolt made his name back in 2002. So people figured Gout would pick one. You can't do both, right? Wrong. Gout's manager, James Templeton, just dropped the news. He said, "We are planning that Gout will be available to run an event in Glasgow before going on to the World Juniors in Eugene. Gout will race the 100 meters at the Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Then he'll hop on a plane to the United States and run the 200 meters at the World Juniors. 2 big races, 2 different countries, all in 1 week. That's insane. But that's Gout Gout. Let me tell you a bit more about this kid because his story is pretty amazing. Gout was born in Ipswich, Australia. His parents came from South Sudan back in 2005 looking for a better life, and they found it. Gout grew up loving video games. He played Fortnite, Minecraft, and Zelda. He says he was a hard gamer before he was a track athlete, but somewhere along the way he found running, and he was really, really good at it. When he was just 14 years old, he ran the 100 meters in 10.57 seconds. That's crazy fast for a kid that young. People started paying attention. Then, Last year at the World Under-20 Championships, he ran the 200 meters in 20.6 seconds. You know what's wild about that? That's faster than Usain Bolt ran when he was 15. Bolt ran 20.61. Gout beat him by 0.01 seconds. And it gets better. In December 2024, Gout broke an Australian record that had been standing since 1968. That's 56 years. The record belonged to Peter Norman, who got a silver medal at the Olympics. His time was 20.06 seconds. Gout ran 20.04 seconds. New record. But he wasn't done. This year, in June, he went to the Czech Republic for a race in a place called Ostrava, and he ran even faster. He clocked 20.02 seconds, another new Australian record, and get this, that time makes him the 6th fastest under-20 athlete in history. Let that sink in. 6th fastest ever for someone under 20 years old. People started calling him the next Usain Bolt. Videos of his races went viral, millions of views. Everyone wanted to know about this kid from Australia who runs like the wind. So when the World Athletics Championships came to Tokyo this year, everyone was excited. This would be Gout's first big race against the best runners in the world. Not just kids his age, the best of the best. Before the race, Gout did a big media day with Adidas. They're his sponsor. There were over 24 journalists there, TV crews, cameras everywhere. And Gout walked out looking a little nervous. He put his hand in his pocket and gave this awkward smile. The host even said, "It's a long walk," just to help him relax. But once he started talking, you could see why people love this kid. He's humble, he's funny, he's just a regular teenager who happens to be incredibly fast. He told everyone he still shares a room with his older brother. He said his favorite food is burgers. Well, first he said pizza, then changed his mind and said burgers. His favorite drink? Peach iced tea. When someone asked what irritates him, he couldn't think of anything. Finally, he just said, probably exams. Because yeah, he's still in school. He's in year 12. That's like being a senior in high school. He has big exams coming up. And he's trying to balance being a world-class athlete with being a normal student. He said, after Worlds, I'm heading back to school. I have 2 weeks holiday, which is great, and after that, I'm back into studies. But I have exams coming up, and those are really important. At the media day, Gout talked about racing at the World Championships. He said, I have a few butterflies, but I've done the work to be here. It's about going out there and having a little bit of fun. I want to focus on being the best I can and enjoy my first experience at this level. He also said, I've earned my place to be here. Obviously, these athletes are stronger, bigger, older, more experienced, but I know that I have the ability to go out there and do my thing. At the end of the day, we're all running 200 meters, and regardless of how old you are, when you stop on that line, it's all about who's fastest. That's the confidence right there. So, the race happened. Gout ran in the heats first and finished with a time of 20.23 seconds. Pretty good. He made it to the semifinals. But in the semis, things didn't go as planned. He finished fourth with a time of 20.36 seconds. That wasn't fast enough to make the final. He was disappointed, but he kept it positive. He told reporters, "It was a great race. Being able to come out here in a semifinal and do my thing is pretty incredible. I looked back at what I did in the heat and tried to fix it for the semifinal, and that's exactly what I did. Obviously, the conditions weren't too good with the rain coming earlier, but I'm happy to be here and just excited." Even though he didn't make the final, his time of 20.36 seconds was still faster than Usain Bolt's first World Championships back in 2005. Bolt ran 20.68 seconds in Helsinki. So yeah, Gout is still doing pretty well for a 17-year-old. Now, let's talk about the Commonwealth Games. This is where things get really exciting. The Commonwealth Games are like the Olympics, but only for countries that were part of the British Commonwealth. Australia, England, Canada, Jamaica, Kenya, and a bunch of others. It's a big deal. The 2026 Games were almost cancelled. The Australian state of Victoria was supposed to host them, but they pulled out. Then Glasgow, Scotland stepped up and said they'd do it. But they had to make some changes to save money. They cut the number of sports from 19 down to 10. No more cricket, no more hockey, no more rugby sevens or diving. But the good news, all the running events are still there. And swimming, and gymnastics, boxing, netball, and a few others. There will be about 3,000 athletes competing for 215 gold medals over 10 days, and Gout Gout will be one of them. The men's 200-meter final is scheduled for Friday, July 31st. That's Gout's favorite race. He calls it his pet event. And it's going to be at a place called Scotstoun Stadium in Glasgow. The men's 100-meter final is on Tuesday, July 28th. That's the race Gout plans to run at the Commonwealth Games. When the Australian team heard the news, they were thrilled. Petria Thomas is the chef de mission for Australia. That means she's in charge of the whole team. She said, "It's very exciting when our best athletes publicly announce their intention to be at the Games. There is, of course, qualification processes that all of our athletes will need to go through. A lot can happen in the year leading into a Games. It's really exciting that the athletes are saying they want to compete in the Games, and we're looking forward to having our best athletes possible on our team ready to go in a year's time. And Australia really wants Gout there. They have a good reason. Australia has topped the medal table at 8 of the last 9 Commonwealth Games going back to 1990. They want to do it again in Glasgow. And having their fastest young sprinter there, that's a huge help."
Problem that he has, he's saying, hey, I want my own shoe. Why don't I have my own shoe? Because you can't show value because you're in an event that only takes place every 4 years.
Times Square was already buzzing, but when Noah Lyles took the stage at the Athlos NYC event, everything stopped. Months earlier, he had criticized Michael Johnson's Grand Slam track, a league facing serious debt problems. Now, the Olympic champion was standing front and center. What changed? The track world was left in disbelief. Noah Lyles appeared at the Athlos NYC 2025 event in Times Square on Thursday, the 9th of October 2025. Athlos' official Instagram posted a video showing Lyles marking his presence with fiancée Janelle Bromfield. The 200-meter world champion acknowledged Athlos' post by resharing it on his own Instagram story. The appearance came months after Lyles publicly expressed skepticism about Michael Johnson's Grand Slam track. Grand Slam track faces $19 million in total liabilities, including $11 million owed to athletes and $8 million owed to vendors. The debt stems from unpaid appearance fees and prize money from earlier events, including the canceled Los Angeles meet. Michael Johnson's league held 3 meets in 2,025 inches, Kingston, Miami, and Philadelphia, before canceling its season-ending event in Los Angeles. The cancellation occurred in June due to financial strain. The league cited low stadium attendance, declining viewership, and rising operational costs as primary factors. A key investor withdrew an 8-figure commitment shortly after the April debut in Kingston, Jamaica. Johnson admitted to Front Office Sports, "That was a huge blow to us. Caused a major cash flow issue for us, put us in a difficult position, put our athletes in a difficult position." The investor reportedly signed a term sheet before reversing course days after attending the Kingston meet. The investor told Grand Slam Track they plan to invest their money elsewhere. Johnson launched the league in 2024, claiming $30 million in promised funding. The league never accessed that full amount. Lyles had declined to join Grand Slam Track despite approaches from the league. Back in March 2025, he revealed his concerns. "I would love nothing more than for this to be successful, because if it does, the amount of benefits it would provide, this could be a way for athletes to not have to only rely on world championships because you could potentially be making more money consistently throughout the year," Lyles stated. But he added crucial doubts. Lyles said, "Money is not the thing that's going to drive me every time. Who are your outside sponsors? Who are your non-track and field sponsors? I haven't even heard a block sponsor." From interviews to podcast appearances, Lyles repeated one demand. If GST wanted to thrive, it needed big names, big stars, big sponsors. That reasoning explained why he didn't sign on. Athlos, founded by Reddit co-founder and Serena Williams' husband Alexis Ohanian, held its second annual event in October 2025. The women-only track meet took place at Icon Stadium in New York on October 10, with the Times Square long jump event occurring the day before. Olympic and world champion Tara Davis Woodhall won the Times Square long jump competition with a mark of 6.81 meters. The event brought elite track and field to one of the world's busiest landmarks. Sha'Carri Richardson and Melissa Jefferson Wooden also attended the Times Square spectacle. Richardson serves as an advisor owner for Athlos 2026, along with Davis Woodhall and Gabby Thomas. The 2026 season will operate in a league format. Richardson attended both days of the event, participating in meet-and-greet sessions with fans at the stadium. Athlos continues to expand while Grand Slam Track struggles to survive. The contrast became clear when Lyles chose to appear at Athlos despite his earlier GST skepticism. The move suggested he has picked sides in what observers call the Track League War. Grand Slam Track promised $100,000 prizes for event group winners at each meet. The amount dwarfed existing purses on the traditional Diamond League circuit. Athletes signed up expecting unprecedented compensation. Instead, they waited months for payment. Olympic medalist Gabby Thomas commented on a Grand Slam Track TikTok post, "PLS Pay Me." The simple plea captured widespread frustration among athletes still awaiting compensation for performances in Kingston, Philadelphia, or Miami. Grant Fisher won $100,000 in Kingston, but said on July 30, "The last update I heard was that by the end of July, they wanted Kingston prize money out. It hasn't hit my bank account or anyone else's." In September 2025, existing investors provided emergency funding described by sources as up to 8 figures. The infusion covered half of what Grand Slam owes its athletes. Payments began landing in athletes' accounts in early October 2025,